Hey guys, how's it going? It's that nerd Ryan here. We're doing the after show discussion of Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 4, which I honestly cannot remember the name of right now. I do apologize and I can't look it up because I'm also using my phone on Instagram. So if you guys um, are interested on watching on either, I will be talking back and forth here. So basically, we're going to be just doing the quick 15 minute to half hour discussion. And at the end, if anybody has questions, we'll go ahead and do questions as well. So if you have any questions about Falcon Winter Soldier, you can ask them in the chat or in the comments if this is after the fact. If it's after the fact, I will respond and we'll talk about it from there. So just in case you guys see me dive for it, drinking Pib. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. First thing I am going to speak of right away is the ending. And I just want to say really quick, we'll talk about it at the end, but I was in so much shock. I have never at a show before. I did like mouth open in such shock and then have to cover it because I didn't know how to react until this episode. And there's a lot of good foreshadowing in this episode when it comes to John basically. Speaking of John, hi John, different John though. But speaking of John, where he leads to in the end of this episode is it's so foreshadowed throughout the whole episode that you kind of know where it's going to go, but you don't know it's going to go that far. So we are started in basically kind of where we left off with Zemo, Sam, and Bucky, and they're trying to figure out how to meet with Carly. They know that what's going on with the Dora Milaje following Zemo, and they're given a time frame of 8 hours before Zemo gets turned into the Dora Milaje. And they also find out that the aunt, or Carly's aunt, is going to be having her funeral soon. So they have to figure out where the funeral is and when it's going to be taking place. They go through to basically a refugee camp, even though they not identify as refugees, and are basically kind of given the cold shoulder, as in Bucky and Sam are given the cold shoulder. Zemo finds a way to work into basically relating to the refugee kids, which he does that by many different things, which Zemo's become such a good character from what he was in Civil War. He's becoming almost kind of I kind of want to say the Joker for the Dark Knight and everything, where you just love him as a character, like Loki and stuff like that. But he comes in, he sets down, he's singing a nursery rhyme. And I think if I caught it, he was singing it in a Latvian accent. I noticed he changed his accent while he was singing it. I don't know if it was Latvian or because it's not Latveria, because Latveria is Doctor Doom. We haven't been introduced to that yet. Latvian, it sounded American to me, but I could be wrong. But he changed his accent while he was singing it. Then he sat down, dropped Turkish Delight, which he talked about earlier in the episode, which was kind of played as a joke at the beginning of the episode. But you see he's kind of using it to manipulate people, which is what Zemo's really good at. And he sets down the candy on a chair, and he has all the kids by him, and he just goes, Turkish Delight, my son loved this when he was around, and stuff like that. So they realize he lost somebody too, they lost somebody. And then he talks about the woman that died, I can't recall her name right now, as if they were friends, kind of manipulating the kids of, I wish to know where her funeral is because I'm her friend and everything. And then they tell him, and then he points at Sam and Bucky and he goes, those are bad men. Don't tell those bad men. And I originally thought he was going to make a break for it so he could kill Carly right away, but he was actually using it as leverage to where they can't backstab him. Which right after that scene is when John's reintroduced or introduced into the episode, which you could tell he's off kilter at that point. And they do this really beautiful thing with the camera work. I'm a big proponent to camera work. You'll notice in some of these videos, but like if I can use my camera, every time like John's like moving everything, the camera's like shaky cam like this. Like it's showing the discomfort in John on how he does not feel like he belongs. And he keeps kind of hinting at it in this episode. So basically after that, they try to basically talk to Carly at the funeral. Sam wants to talk, and Bucky's with Sam on that. However, John just wants to go in guns blazing as usual. So Sam gets a few words and everything, and you know where this scene's going to do because it's an action movie trope. They do it all the time, where the hero's talking to the villain that's a sympathetic villain, and then the other hero that's supposed to be the big good, the know-it-alls, whatever, breaks in and ruins the whole situation. And that causes Carly to not trust Sam, and she starts to run. And the super soldiers start kicking the crap out of John as everybody tries to chase after Zemo, who was actually detained by John, breaks out of the cuffs, which is another thing that Steve wouldn't have made a mistake on, but John made the mistake of leaving Zemo alone with the cuffs. And we see that Zemo catches up to Carly and starts shooting at her. He does get, I think, 2 bullets in of all his shots, and he notices that the super soldier serum, which was hidden in a gravesite that Carly picked up earlier and brought over, is all over the ground. Now, my initial thought was Zemo is true, like, more, he does hate super soldiers, but I feel that he hated them because he couldn't be like them in a sense. So I thought he's going to take one because I know that Zemo in the comics does have some sort of superpower. So I thought that was going to justify it. But he actually starts stomping on all of them and destroying them. And then I was like, there's got to be one left. And then very next scene, when John runs in and knocks Zemo out and Carly gets out of there, John finds the last super soldier serum, or the last that we know of. And he pockets it and everything, so that then I forgot to mention that right before that scene, before John breaks in, he's talking to Bucky, and he goes, "Oh, I bet you feel all tough with that super soldier serum running through you." And that was a little hint to me that, okay, it's either this episode or next episode John's going to take the superhero or super soldier serum. And then but yeah, so anyways, in that scene and everything, he pockets it, and we actually kind of get a dual mirrored scene between Zemo and Sam, as well as Lamar and John. And it's literally, they're both asked the same question, and they both answer it the complete opposite, which I thought was really great to see. And everything is to see who the true hero is in that situation. So Zemo asked Sam if he was ever offered the super soldier serum and if he would have ever taken it. And Sam basically says no. He's to both of those. He said he was never offered it. He would never take it, which kind of shows the true hero-ness of him in a sense. And then 2 scenes later, John gets asked that same question. I'm only skipping around because it makes sense in this. And Lamar asks, he asked Lamar, what would you do if you had the super soldier serum? Would you take it? And then Lamar kind of asks him back in a sense, and also asks or states kind of like, oh, you got 3 medals of honor and everything. And they kind of allude to the medals of honor not being honorably earned. So it does kind of hint that he's not right in a sense. Um, and he's not like the Boy Scout that Steve was, is what I mean by that. But anyways, in between that scene, we have John busting in and the Dora Milaje also busting in, both to take Zemo. And a fight ensues between John and the Dora Milaje, where he's getting his butt handed to him, and they basically almost kill him. And finally, the funny part is you see Zemo kind of in the back, like, and then Sam and Bucky are just watching. They're like, maybe you should do something. And Bucky goes, okay, yeah, good form, John. And then just he's like, okay, seriously, step in. And then they start fighting the Dora Milaje, and they all get owned by the Dora Milaje. Bucky loses his arm. She literally like kind of like pressure point taps him, which I guess was like the off button, and it fell off. And then basically John gets a spear literally right between his handle of the shield and his arm that gets stuck in a table, and he can't get the shield out, which that's another draw point between Steve and John, is Steve can still fight without the shield, and he would have probably like gotten out and continued to fight. John was so focused on getting the shield out because he relies on it way too much. And their fighting kind of stops because Zemo gets away, and the Dora Milaje pulls out the spear from John's shield. It drops out, and literally the Dora Milaje just does like the stomp thing that Steve does and gets the shield right to her arm. And it just shows that John's like not worthy of the shield, which speaking of worthiness, I'm just thinking this because me and Angie watched Thor last night, is unlike Mjolnir, if you're not worthy of the shield, you can still take it. So it's kind of cool to see like anybody can interact with the shield, but the way you wield it shows how worthy you are of it. And John's good at throwing it. It's a cool trick, but he cannot battle without it. The whole John thing kind of sums up basically our famous four Avengers with everything we learned. Obviously, with Steve and everything, Captain America's got to be altruistic, Boy Scout sort of thing like that. The Hulk, he's got to learn to fight his demons, which he can't. And then Iron Man, one of the famous things he taught Spider-Man, if you're nothing without the suit, then you don't deserve the suit. John's nothing without the shield. He could barely fight. He can shoot a gun, but that's about it. And Captain America hasn't used guns in a while. And then worthiness with Thor, obviously he's not worthy for Mjolnir. So he does kind of encompass all the original Avengers, but he does the opposite of what they stood for, basically. So anyways, we get to the Dora Milaje scene, and this was the point at the end of that fight where I knew he was going to take that super soldier serum. He just goes, they weren't even super soldiers. Like, in such a defeated, like, shocked voice, they weren't even super soldiers. And, like, at that point, I was like, he's going to take it, like, next scene. And we never see him take it. But then after the scene where he discusses about the super soldier serum, Carly calls Sam's sister. And, like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, no. Sam's sister's about to die. But no, she used that as leverage on Sam to basically kind of be like, yeah, I know everything about you. You need to meet me at these coordinates or whatever's going to happen. And Sam and Bucky meet her there. And the whole time she's trying to discuss them, like parlaying sort of thing and everything like that. And then Sharon catches where John's headed, which was a trap set by the Flag Smashers. So I think Carly was just buying time, knowing that something was going to happen. And they try to break over while Carly's chasing after them. Lamar gets captured, and John starts fighting everybody. And you notice when Sam gets there, when Sam gets there, all of a sudden he sees one of the Flag Smashers flying into a concrete wall, leaving an indent. So we never get to see John actually take the soldier serum, but we see that he's taking it. And then he's like fighting and everything. He does a joke about why does everybody use knives and stuff like that. And then Lamar gets free. Lamar joins the fight as Carly joins the fight. And Bucky was there already, and we see that cool knife trick that Bucky does in the trailer. And Lamar tackles over Carly. Carly throws him against the wall, I think he basically breaks his neck and kills him. We don't know if it's confirmed that Lamar's killed, but judging by how the scene played out, Lamar's dead. So Flag Smashers start running. John checks on Lamar and everything, and basically loses it. And he jumps through the window, kind of like Steve did in one of the, I think it was Winter Soldier or Civil War, something like that. Winter Soldier jumps exactly like Steve does in Winter Soldier, lands on a car like I think in a Civil War. So it's very invoking of the Captain America that we know until he gets to the Flag Smasher and is literally beating on him with the shield. The Flag Smasher falls over, and this is where I like that. And again, it draws from Civil War when Steve stops Tony, and I wish I had like one of the toy shields at least. He takes the shield and goes to stab it down on Tony's chest to stop the arc reactor. And like Tony thinks he's going to aim for the head and goes like that, and then he just does the arc reactor to power down the suit like a hero would do. John goes for the head and basically uses the blunt end of the shield to decapitate the Flag Smasher. And he's looking for Carly in that. And then there's this, I think it's going to be a scene, like a still or a scene that goes down in infamy or fame of John Walker, Captain America, standing there with the shield looking around. And all you see at the bottom of the shield is blood splatter. And like right now, talking about it, I'm getting chills. I'm getting goosebumps because that was, I like I said, I've never been so shocked at a Marvel scene. And I mean, I kind of knew it was coming, but still, the fact that I was like, I'm still like speechless thinking about it because we know that John's unstable. It's been obvious since at least the last episode. A little bit in the second episode, but it shows how unstable John is. And now that he's taken the super soldier serum, he is completely unstable. So looks like we got a viewer. If you have any questions, we are wrapping up right now. I am going to kind of state like my ranking of the episode, which is I'm going to sum up the other episodes too, because I've never done that before. I'm going to do it now. But if anybody has any questions while I rank things up, please leave it in the discussion live chat. Or if you have any statements about the episode, go ahead and do it. And I'm going to just state really quick what I thought. So this was a solid, I'm going to give it like a letter grade. It was a solid, honestly, because of the ending, and there's good parts in this episode too. I do give it an A. I give the last one an A minus. Second episode, I give an A. First episode, I give a B. So as of right now, this is the best episode, mainly because of the shock value of the end of the episode, as well as the foreshadowing in any of it. So it does look like we got no questions. So I am going to wrap up the episode now. So thank you guys for watching. And remember, we are all superheroes on the inside.